The Lakers wrap up their exhibition games in China with another L and a potential injury to superstar Anthony Davis. Could the purple and gold now be in trouble on opening night? We are going to be discussing all of this and, of course, recapping these preseason games in China. You're watching Lakers Report by Chat Sports, all things Lakers. What's up, Laker fam? I'm your host, Hannah Kulik, aka Laker Han. Now, before we get into this video and recap these preseason games that the Lakers played in China, I want to make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button down below so that you do not miss a single second when it comes to our Los Angeles Lakers. It's going to be an exciting season. We're going to have all of the coverage here on this new Lakers YouTube channel by Chat Sports. So I want to make sure that you are not going to miss any second of it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and give me a follow on my Instagram at Hannah Rose Kulik and my Twitter at Hannah_Kulik. But let's talk Lakers versus Nets in China. Now, the Lakers went 0-2 against the Nets. Unfortunately, they lost both of those games. This most recent loss was a 77-91 loss. Now, Kyrie Irving didn't even play in this game. LeBron James and Anthony Davis only played in the first quarter. Of course, then Anthony Davis also injured his thumb, which has been ruled as a minor thumb sprain. He's going to get tested on Sunday when the Lakers get back from China. But overall, the vibe of these games were very strange. There was a lot, not a lot of media attention. The Lakers canceled all of their public appearances. They were not allowed to speak to the media. A lot of people didn't even think that these games were going to happen. Of course, after all of the controversy with Daryl Morey, Houston Rockets general manager, tweeting out in a since deleted tweet that he stood with Hong Kong in their fight for freedom. A lot of people thought these games were going to be canceled. There was a lot of drama, a lot of turmoil, but they ended up playing. But it did end up in 2 losses for the Lakers. And like I said, it was kind of hard to take some things away from this game, just of course because LeBron James, Anthony Davis didn't play too many minutes. And of course, there was just not a great vibe around the team. It didn't really feel like anyone wanted to be there. It really just felt like both teams couldn't wait to just get these games over with and come back home. But let's talk about 3 of the takeaways that I can take away from this game in particular. Number 1, and the most important one, is that the Lakers really miss Kyle Kuzma. Okay, they are going to need to have Kuz healthy and on the floor, because that is just something that I've really noticed, obviously, is the lack of scoring. Kuz, yes, he's supposed to be that third scoring option, the third option for this team, but they desperately could use him out there. They need another guy. They can't just rely on Anthony Davis and LeBron James to do it every single night. They are going to need another guy to really step up and be that big scoring option for them. And obviously, that is supposed to be Kyle Kuzma. As we all know, Kuz is out with that foot injury right now. He is going to be getting an MRI. Honestly, any day now, the second the Lakers get back from China, he's going to be getting an MRI. So I am really keeping my fingers crossed that he is going to be cleared for full practice and then cleared to play, because the Lakers could really use him. They're going to need those, 15 to 20 points that Kuz is going to be able to put in a night. So number 1 biggest takeaway is the Lakers desperately need Kyle Kuzma. Now, number 2 is that the Lakers can't rely on Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They are going to need another person in that starting lineup to really step up and be a scorer for them. Now, whether or not that is Kyle Kuzma, if he starts or comes off the bench, or if it's Danny Green, or if it's Avery Bradley, regardless, the Lakers are going to need another guy that is in that starting lineup who's going to be able to provide them with some scoring, because so far, if Anthony Davis and LeBron James are not in the game, so far there is yet to be a guy who's really proven that he can consistently be able to knock down those shots and really provide scoring. So LeBron and AD, yes, they are superstars. Yes, they are going to be leading this team. Yes, they are going to be scoring a majority of the points, but still, we're going to need someone else in that starting lineup to step up. Now, obviously, this is a little bit more of a difficult thing to kind of talk about, just because every night of these preseason games there has been a different starting lineup, and we saw in this last game versus the Nets in China, the Lakers run a very, very kind of interesting, different starting lineup. We had Rondo starting, we had Danny Green, we had Avery Bradley, then LeBron and Anthony Davis. So it was a very guard-heavy starting lineup, which I'm fine with, but I was disappointed because none of those guards were able to step up and really provide much scoring there. Now, the third thing that I think we can take away from not only these 2 games in China, but just from the entire preseason so far, is that the Lakers supporting cast still has a lot of question marks surrounding it. Now, a big part of that, of course, is just due to the fact that Quinn Cook, Kyle Kuzma, Jared Dudley, and now Troy Daniels have been out with injury. So, of course, it's hard to kind of grasp a sense of what this team is going to look like when you have a handful of your players who you're expecting to make pretty big contributions out with injuries and yet to play. But still, there are a lot of question marks regarding whether or not this supporting cast is really going to be able to step up. Like I mentioned, I've been disappointed in Danny Green. I haven't really seen that much from Avery Bradley, Rajon Rondo. KCP has been inconsistent, hot and cold. So a lot of question marks regarding this team. We saw also, the Lakers just play a lot of the guys that are going to be most likely in their G League team. So again, it's hard to kind of grasp a sense of what this team is going to look like when it's not the regular season and our main guys are healthy and aren't getting as many minutes as, of course, they're going to be playing once the regular season comes along. But still, a lot of questions regarding the Lakers supporting cast and whether or not they are going to be able to make a big contribution. Now, I know obviously we kind of talked about Kyle Kuzma and how important he is going to be and how much of these preseason games have been proven that he's going to be a huge role and that they really are going to be counting on him a lot this season. But I'm curious, after seeing these games, Kuz should be in that starting lineup, in my opinion. I think they're going to need him. Again, I don't know how that's possible, but I think these games have proven that Kuz really should be a starter. They're going to need his scoring ability as much as possible. So I do want to hear from you. After watching these preseason games, do you still think Kuzma should come off the bench, or do you think he has to be in that starting lineup? If you think he should be in that starting lineup, type S down below. Or if you think he should still come off the bench and help provide scoring off the bench and be that 6-man role, type B down below. But now that we've talked about our 3 takeaways, let's get into some grades. I know, of course, it's a little bit hard to grade LeBron and Anthony Davis and a lot of these players because they are only playing a handful of minutes, but still, they spent some time out on the court. We got to see them play a little bit, so let's hand out some grades. Starting with LeBron James. Now, LeBron only played 12 minutes. He only played in that first quarter. He only scored 6 points. So the Lakers really just kind of wanted to rest him. There was really no need to play him. But you know what? I'm going to give LeBron an A-. So far, what I've seen in these playoffs, he's looked good. He looks like he's ready for the season. We all know he's excited. We know he's locked in. So I'm going to give LeBron James an A-, even though technically he hasn't played too much. He didn't completely score that much, but still, he's played well, and you can't give the king anything less than an A. That just doesn't seem right to me. So I'm going to give LeBron James an A-. Now, Anthony Davis, I am going to give a B+. AD only played 12 minutes as well. He also only played in the first quarter. He only scored 6 points as well. Him and LeBron James are kind of twinning there. But something that was a little concerning to Anthony Davis is the fact that he left that first quarter with a right thumb injury, and it has been diagnosed as a right thumb sprain, and he did not return. Now, I don't know if that is because of the severity of the injury or if the Lakers just said there's no point in playing him, let's just rest him. I don't know, but all I know is that he did suffer that right thumb injury. He did not return, and he's going to have further tests when the Lakers get back on Sunday to determine the severity of the injury. I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that it's nothing too serious. Now, something that is encouraging is the fact that apparently he got it kind of earlier on in the first quarter when he went up for a block, and he was able to play through it. So that is something that is encouraging, but still, you obviously don't want to see an injury happen to your superstar during the preseason, which is something that which is a reason that I don't really like the preseason that much, just because I don't like risking having our superstars and our players get injured. But AD is going to get a B+ from me. He obviously didn't have as good of a game these 2 games that we saw in China as he did that first preseason opener against Golden State. But again, just the tensions were so high in China. All of the players just kind of looked out of it, looked like they just wanted to go home, looked like they didn't really want to be there. And of course, he only played 12 minutes. So AD gets a B+. Now, moving on to Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo is a very interesting guy for me, and I was disappointed in what I saw this last game, but I'm going to give Rajon Rondo a C+. Now, I'm giving him a C+ because in the first preseason game that we played in China a few days ago, he played pretty well. He did have 18 points, but I will say with Rondo, I did notice that the offense didn't run as smoothly with him. I think the offense runs much more smooth when LeBron James has the ball in his hand and when he's kind of being that de facto point guard, primary ball handler for us. But Rondo did have a high scoring first game in China, so he had 18 points. But in this game, he didn't even score at all. You know, he played 16 minutes and he didn't score at all. And for Rajon Rondo to play 16 minutes in a game and have 0 points, it's just inexcusable. You know, obviously he's not going to be this high volume shooter. He's not always looking to score, but still 0 points. There's no excuses. So Rajon Rondo is getting a C from me. Now moving on to our other starter, Avery Bradley. Because remember, like I mentioned, the Lakers started a very guard heavy starting lineup and Bradley also got a starting nod. I'm going to give Avery Bradley a B. He had a pretty good game. He had played 30 minutes. He had 16 points. This was finally the first time that we saw him kind of do anything in terms of scoring. In the first couple of preseason games, he really didn't score the ball. He wasn't really doing anything, which was obviously disappointing because there was so much hype around him regarding training camp, saying that he was playing so hard and his defense was so good and he was looking amazing and he was really the standout in training camp. But in the preseason, he didn't really play too well in the first couple of games. So it was nice to see him be able to score the ball, get those 16 points. But of course, he did play 30 minutes. And so I'm going to give Avery Bradley a B. So far, I haven't seen anything that I'm really freaking out about over Avery Bradley. So I'm hoping that as the preseason continues and we get into the regular season, I'm going to be able to see him be a little bit more consistent, be able to see that lockdown D that we were hearing so much about in training camp, and of course be able to see him be more of a consistent scorer, especially when shooting that 3-point. But Avery Bradley did have a nice game overall, so I'm going to give him a B. Now moving on to Danny Green. Now Danny Green, in my opinion, is probably the biggest disappointment for me in this preseason, just because when the Lakers signed him, I was so excited. You know, I thought he is that perfect 3-and-D guy that they could desperately use. He's that great wing defender, but also that guy who could knock down that 3. And honestly, so far, I have not seen anything from him in the preseason. And this particular game was no different. He played just 16 minutes. He only scored 2 points. And that's just not okay when you're Danny Green. You know, I get it. I get it's the preseason. I get that you're not playing a majority of the minutes that you're normally going to play. But still, to only score 2 points, I mean, he can do more than that. I haven't seen anything from him in the preseason, and if the Lakers are going to be successful this season, he is going to have to be able to contribute much more offensively. So Danny Green, I've been very disappointed with, so he's going to get a C. Now talking about another guy who could potentially also, if Danny Green doesn't step up, be the Lakers starting shooting guard, KCP. I'm going to give KCP a B for this game. Now in the first couple of games, he didn't do much, but in this game, he actually played pretty well. He played 25 minutes, he scored 11 points, he was 5 for 12 from the field, he also grabbed 6 rebounds, so it was a nice overall game for KCP. Now as we all know, KCP is very streaky, he's very hot or cold, like I mentioned. First couple of preseason games, he really didn't do much, so he was very underwhelming, especially in that first one against the Golden State Warriors. So I'm not really expecting KCP to, you know, consistently be this guy who's going to be putting in, you know, 15 points and grabbing 6 rebounds, but it was nice to see him have a good game. So for this game, I am going to give him a B. Now it is assumed that KCP is going to be coming off the bench and being the backup shooting guard, and that Danny Green is going to be the Lakers starting shooting guard this season. But if DG continues to be underwhelming and KCP continues to play well, do you think that those roles should be reversed? And do you think that actually KCP should start and Danny Green should come off the bench, or no, DG should still start and KCP off the bench? Who do you think should be the Lakers starting shooting guard on opening night? Do you think it should be Danny Green or KCP? If you think it should be Danny, type D down below, or if you think it should be KCP, type K down below. Now, before we get into giving out some more grades, including to JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, we even have to talk about Kostas. Giannis's brother played a little bit. What grade am I going to give him? Before we do, I want to let you guys in on a very exciting promotion that one of Chat Sports' sponsors, BetDSI, is offering us Laker fans. So if you like to bet for your favorite sports teams, doesn't even have to be the NBA, doesn't even have to be the Lakers. It can be the NFL, it can really be any of your favorite sports teams. Then go right now to chatsports.com LeBron.com/bet and enter the promo code Lakers120 and you will get 120% deposit bonus. That's an amazing offer. I'm so grateful to our sponsor BetDSI for giving us all a chance to win some extra cash this season. I know I love to bet on my favorite sports teams, and if you do, then go ahead right now. Again, just go to chatsports.com/bet, enter Lakers120 and you will get 120% deposit bonus. Great way to win some extra cash, so make sure to go check that out if you like to bet on some sports, but on the Lakers, whatever sports team. It's an awesome offer, so I want to make sure that you don't miss out. But let's move on to some more grades here. Now, JaVale McGee is a guy who I actually think has played pretty consistent throughout this preseason. I'm going to give JaVale a B. He played just 13 minutes in this game, but he still had 9 points. And like I said, he looks like he's been really nice out there. You know, he looks like he's in mid-season form. He looks ready for the season to start. Even though he hasn't gotten a ton of playing time, he's still made the most of it, shown what he can do when he has gotten the minutes. So I think JaVale has played pretty well so far. I think he's been probably one of our most consistent players this entire preseason. So I am giving him a B. Now moving on to the other center that I know a lot of people are very curious to kind of watch play every night, and that is Dwight Howard. I'm going to be giving Dwight Howard a C. Obviously, he's looking a little rusty. It's going to take some time for him to really get back into kind of mid-season form. Last season, again, he was injured. He only played in 9 games, so it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get back in shape, really get back in mid-season form. So we haven't been able to see too much of it, but I'm going to give Dwight Howard a C for this game in particular. He did play in 15 minutes and he only had 3 points, 6 rebounds, and obviously a guy like Dwight Howard, especially on the boards, he can easily be getting double-digit rebounds. So I haven't seen too much from him, but again, going to take some time. So Dwight Howard is getting a C. Now our last grade that we are going to be giving out today, obviously there were a few other guys that we can talk about like Alex Caruso. We can also talk about some of the G League guys like Devontae Cook, but our last guy that we are going to be giving out a grade for is Giannis's little brother Kostas, because Kostas got some playing time and you know what? He played pretty well. I'm going to give Kostas a B. Now he only played in 10 minutes, but he scored 9 points. He looks pretty good out there. Obviously he's young. He's not going to really play for us this season, but it still is nice to have a little bit of a tie to the Greek Freak. And I know a lot of Laker fans get really excited to see Kostas in the game. So he played 10 minutes, 9 points again. It was a pretty nice little showing for him. So I'm going to give Kostas a B for that. Now let's move on to some team grades, starting with the bench. I am going to give the Lakers bench a C+. Now, of course, this is a little bit hard to assess just because, of course, we have Quinn Cook, Kyle Kuzma, Jared Dudley, and now Troy Daniels all out with injuries. So they have yet to be able to play. Guys who I think are going to obviously be making pretty big contributions, providing a lot of scoring, especially coming off the bench. So it's hard to kind of assess this when those guys are not able to play. But of course, we did see the Lakers really struggled to score the ball. It was a very low scoring game. They only scored 77 points in this game, so very low scoring, and the Lakers are going to kind of need someone from their bench, even if it is, regardless of those guys who are out, they're going to need someone else to come off the bench and really be able to provide that scoring punch for them. Whether or not that is KCP or if Avery Bradley ends up coming off the bench and he's able to provide some scoring, but of course it is going to help once we have Quinn Cook, Kuz, Jared Dudley, and Troy Daniels back in the lineup and back healthy, because of course those guys are going to have big contributions. So right now I am though going to say C+, just because I think obviously our bench has not done a great job, but of course a lot of that is due to injuries. We did see a lot of the guys coming off the bench are going to be guys who I am assuming are going to be in the Lakers G League players, not even players who are most likely going to be playing for us this season. So it's hard to kind of talk about this, but still I'm going to be giving our bench an overall grade of a C+ so far. Now in terms of our team defense, I'm going to be giving our team defense a grade of a C as well. Of course, Anthony Davis only played in 12 minutes, so it's kind of hard to judge when our best defender or one of our best defenders is not on the floor and is barely playing, then of course is injured. It's also hard to kind of assess because Dwight Howard is still getting into his shape and is getting his groove back, and once he's healthy, I'm expecting him to be able to really step up defensively. But still, the Lakers are going to really need to step up defensively if they want to have a good season. I know this is just the preseason, but still, this is really the time for them to kind of be practicing and working really hard, especially on the defensive end. We saw them really have no answer to the Brooklyn Nets player, Caris LeVert. We saw him just score the ball. He had 22 points in just 22 minutes. We also saw them not be able to defend the three very well. Of course, Brooklyn is a very good three-point shooting team, but of course, the Lakers need to be able to make some adjustments, and especially after that first game, I was expecting them today to be able to come back and be able to guard that three a little bit better, but of course, they just didn't. But like I said, it is really hard to assess just because we do have some injuries to a lot of our key players. Of course, Anthony Davis didn't really play too much. Dwight Howard is still kind of getting his groove back, and a lot of our main players just didn't play a huge majority of minutes. But still, it is very easy to see that the Lakers definitely have to buckle down defensively and still have to work on their defense. That's going to be a focal point for them as we finish out the preseason and of course get on to the regular season, which I cannot wait to happen, because again, I like the preseason, you know, obviously, but it is frustrating because again, you don't want to see your team lose, but of course, you want to rest your players and risk them getting injured and not being ready for opening night. But that is going to be it for today's little recap grades on this game against the Brooklyn Nets in China. Of course, the Lakers again lost 77-91. Now they are on a flight back to LA, and then we play Monday night against the Golden State Warriors again, and we are back home at Staples Center, so I know that crowd is going to be super fired up. It's going to be a very electric atmosphere. Can't wait to watch that game. Can't wait to have a Laker game on that's on at normal time. I am really tired of waking up at 4:30 in the morning, guys, and I'm sure you are as well, Laker fam. But that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below any grades that you would give these Laker players, if you thought I was pretty accurate with the grades or if you thought I was off. Comment down what you think the biggest thing the Lakers are going to have to work on to finish this preseason out and to be able to be ready for opening night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a double thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe here on Chat Sports and the new Lakers YouTube channel as well. And until next time, Laker Hannah's out. Bye, guys.